welcome to AP Monthly Trends Podcast with Mr. Arun Malhotra, and I am Mugdha Mishra, and we will talk about all that happened last month. How are the sales figures and what important developments happened last year? Thank you so much, Arun, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mugdha.
Very exciting month. First of all, I think the numbers have stayed very positive, at least 15%, 10 to 15% growth every manufacturer that have disclosed figures till now in four-wheeler segment.
Actually, you're absolutely right. The trend which started momentum was very positive from October to December.
Yeah.
But that time the increases were to the tune of 20%. January, I expect the growth would be somewhere between 9 to 10% growth, which is a good growth. But I think that's a phenomenal performance because the way the industry was struggling till September, and if you take the retail figures and cumulative retails based on Vahan, April to January, we are clocking nearly 10% growth over last year, which nobody expected in August, September. Everybody expecting more to 4 to 5. So overall, a good set of numbers.
So GST change has really impacted growth. I think all the figures that I'm seeing, be it Hyundai, Tata Motors, Mahindra, Kia, all have shown above 10% growth.
So one good thing which has happened is this year at the end of December, the inventory at the dealership or inventory at the company was low. To that extent, the opportunity to dispatch was also high. So that has been a reason for it. So that's why this 8 to 10% growth which will come in wholesale overall. But if you take retail figures, the growth is somewhere around 6 to 7% in Vahan. Basically, a lot of sales does get preponed in December and January then follows. But I think overall, even if we have high single digit, that's quite good in every respect.
Let's also focus on electric vehicles. What happened in electric vehicle segment? Because we don't have right now the divide between normal vehicles and electric vehicles. How has the momentum been for electric vehicles?
So we have the Vahan figures for electric vehicles, and the Vahan figures are showing something like 17,000 vehicles in the month of January, which if you compare with last year January, it's about a 50% increase. And if you cumulatively take April to January this financial year, the increase is 70%. So penetrations have really gone up sharply, but still below 5%. But I think that's a good momentum. It's caused because of two factors. One is the number of players in the market is electric vehicles being bigger, and the companies which have electric vehicle in their portfolio, they're expanding their portfolio. To that extent, this is a better choice. But having said that, it's still not mainstream.
And what about two-wheelers? I think the figures that I've seen, they are exceptionally good. About 20% growth in 2-3 figures that I've seen in two-wheelers.
Actually, if you ask me, my personal view is this is a month where two-wheelers is the emperor of the crown. Passenger vehicles will be around 8 to 10%, but two-wheelers, whether it is in wholesale or whether in retails, is about 20% plus. To me, two-wheelers were a much stronger momentum in the month of January.
Is that true for EV two-wheelers as well?
EV also has gained by about 22%. Although EV was more impacted because the GST change which happened, the gap between the normal two-wheeler and the electric two-wheeler decreased. But having said that, there's a 20-25% increase still in EV two-wheelers. So whether it is dispatches or whether it is retails or whether it's electric vehicles in two-wheelers, and the way you look at it, it's 20% plus, which is very positive.
Now let's talk about some of the key happenings of last month. I think the mid-size SUV segment was completely in action, in focus. We saw the Seltos prices came out, Sierra delivery started, then we saw Kushaq, facelift Unveil, and Renault came up with the Duster.
So what Mugdha, you rightly talked, there were some models which actually started deliveries this month. Like a Mahindra, although it's a higher segment, or a Tata Sierra, and even Seltos. But two models were unveiled, the Kushaq and the Duster, which deliveries will probably start in April. But clearly, a lot of action, a lot of excitement, and a lot of choices for customers. That comes clearly out.
Yeah, definitely. And two products that really are worth talking about. First of all, we definitely, Sierra has got great response. Then XUV and 9S, both figures came together. Very good response, and that we have seen with Tatas and Mahindras. Once they launch their product, people really flock to them. That's a trend from from few years, right? But the other two products that I want to talk about is Seltos, key product for Kia. Is it a strong enough product in the segment to give them good momentum?
So see, Seltos is not a facelift or it's not a minor
Yeah,
upgrade.
it's not.
It's on a different platform. The length is
Yeah.
bigger, the dimensions are bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Did I say facelift?
No, I didn't say
it's a-
facelift.
it's a new product.
It's
It's a
a
new
new
product.
product to a large
Yeah.
extent. To that
Yeah.
extent, the initial impact is high. But my view is always wait and watch, because 1 month you cannot make a judgment, but
Definitely.
initial response is good.
You know what I like about Seltos? I like the fact that the variant distribution, the features distribution across variant is very, very good. Even the base variant is very well spec'd. So that's something that I have
Okay,
really
great.
appreciated.
Good.
Now let's talk about Duster, because that's the big news of the month. It is, in a way, the vehicle for re-entry of Renault in India. They have existed, but not on top of people's mind. Duster is what brings Renault back in people's mind. What is your view on how they have approached it? I mean, the Unveil was phenomenal. I haven't seen a bigger event for an Unveil.
So, market reality and Unveil can be always very different. There's no positive correlation between Unveil and a market reality. Duster, no two opinion, it was a very successful product and it was the heartthrob of the country. But the world has changed. Today, the choices available in the mid-size SUVs with monocoque designs are much more. So, it's not going to be a cakewalk for Duster. To that extent, let's wait and watch, because there are products from Mahindra, there's product from Tata, there's from Maruti. So every company has products in this segment,
Yeah.
or Hyundai.
Multiple, actually, some
And
of
multiples, you're absolutely right there. Between, they'll have 8 to 10 models between 4 to 4.3 meters.
Yeah.
So that extent, hold your horses.
But what's significant is the conversation that we heard at the Unveil. They were all saying India is very important, very important. But I think European manufacturers struggle a little bit. They understand the significance of the country, but they are not able to match the cost and the features requirement. What's your view?
No comments. It can vary company by company.
Yeah.
It can vary, but you can't make a blanket judgment. But
Yeah.
clearly, the Koreans and Japanese and the Indian manufacturers, especially now the Indian manufacturers, they are very, very focused on features, technology, and
they're
the real
able to
value.
keep cost low.
So let's see. Let's wait and watch on that.
Okay, let's now move on to some of the other key elements, including EU FTA. People are expecting their luxury car prices to drop down, and I read somewhere even middle class will now own some of the bigger names that we generally talk about.
So, two things. First of all, the FTA announced it's a phase out announcement. I mean, the FTA really becomes applicable in the mid of 2027. So we are 1.5 year away from that. That's the first part. Second, the phasing is from 1 lakh vehicle to 2,50,000 over 10 years. Even if I take a 1 lakh figure for 2027 and I assume the market that year is about 5 million or 50 lakhs, which is there, it's hardly 2% of the market.
Yeah.
So that market is, and even within that, there are classifications given. And EVs are not covered for the first 5 years. So effectively, we are making too much noise. And as far as luxury cars is concerned, most of the luxury brands which they have, the BMW, the Audi or the Mercedes, they have 90% of the vehicles are made domestically and with the 90% indigenization. They're hardly 10% CBU. So the CBU proportion can go up next year. But I think the media is making too much of it. It's going to be a slow start, and whatever action will happen at a small sub-segment, and that even in 2027.
And I believe the price reduction also will not be substantial because of various issues.
So there has to be seen. I mean, there's too much playing.
There can be some.
There can be some,
But
and that even for the CBUs which are there.
Yeah.
So
And we can't even judge it for today.
So I don't think it will change the contours of the Indian auto market, because if we are talking of 4.5 to 5 million cars, and even if 1 lakh is assumed, that is going to contribute hardly 2 to 2.5% of the market.
Yeah.
So it's not going to make a change, and that even I'm assuming it covers that much.
But if you look at the luxury segment, for that particular
That
segment,
could happen.
1 lakh is a big number.
So I
Because-
don't know. Even that there are slabs, sub-slabs, so
Yeah.
might be 30,000 in that. Yes, that could affect substantially.
Even then, because we are around 50,000, our entire luxury market is somewhere around
So
50,000.
it's a small market which is there. It's hardly
Yeah.
about, say, hardly 1% or 1.2% of the total auto market. To that extent, the gap or the variation there can be more.
So, the way I see it is that it might help expand the luxury car market a little bit, and it might make India a little bit more attractive destination for luxury car makers to take it a little bit more. Most of them are here,
They are there.
but they might take India more seriously.
Well, I think the CEOs of BMW, Mercedes wouldn't like to comment that take it more seriously. They believe they're taking Indian market
No,
very
no, that's what
seriously.
I said. They are taking
Yeah,
it seriously
but it
already.
can happen. It can happen. Change.
But more investment. They
So
might. The Indian CEOs might find it easier to put their cases.
yeah, absolutely. The market will expand because it's a
Yeah.
small market. Considering the way India has that money, power, and potential, it's still much below the potential.
But again, this is also all speculation only from
Absolutely.
our side.
Absolutely.
Let's see how it works. Because it's such a long duration over which it has to be executed, and all the nitty-gritties are not out yet
Yeah, that's right.
of the
That's
FTA.
right.
There,
That's right.
there are a lot of negotiations that will happen, and all the details will come out slowly, and we will only be able to understand then. So yeah, but interesting month.
One interesting thing I wanted to say.
One thing that has not
Yeah.
happened before you say it is that some of the regulations were supposed to come this month, which was one ABS being made standard, and then there was also on tractor emission norms. Those have not been implemented. Those regulations are delayed. So there are some regulatory delays happening.
So clearly, I mean, the ABS, it would have covered 80% of the market because of 125 cc, and it would have made a price increase. And tractors also, the TREM norms, we are moving from TREM 3 to TREM 5, would have had an increase of something like 7 to 8%. Now, one side you had a GST cut
Yeah.
in September end, which has expanded the market. And other side you have regulations which bring the price up. Then all the benefits of the GST cut gets negated. To that extent, I think the government is waiting and watching. And also, there will be a lot of pressures because the prices should not go up. Because one of the challenges in tool industry has been that too much regulations came in. That's why the market is still hovering on that 2019-20 figure. So that's why. So it's in the back burner at the moment.
And the other thing, of course, which was yesterday, budget. Generally, auto sector is not in focus in budget, and so was the case. Nothing really substantial came out. Few changes here there, but nothing headline material. What is your view?
Absolutely, there's nothing because see, the taxation has gone out of it. It's come to the GST regime.
Yeah.
I think and there are no direct interventions as far as the auto industry is concerned. Although we are talking of rare earth metals, building a corridor, focus on semiconductors with the semiconductor 2.0 policy, focus on electronics. All these can be a good building block for the future. But if you take short term, medium term, the budget does not reach much. Plus, there are no levies or something. Cesses could have been come out somewhere. To that extent, it is work in progress, which is there, more like that.
But what about PME drive? I think I read somewhere the allocated figure this year is somewhere around 1,500 crores.
So PME drive, if you look at it, the two-wheelers, the amount the subsidy they used to get, 30,000, 20, 10, 5, is actually disappeared. So the PME drive is not going to focus only on buses.
Yeah.
So effectively the main market, the two-wheelers and the passenger vehicles are outside the purview of the PME drive to a large extent. Unless the government thinks of getting that 5,000 back in two-wheelers, which is itself will not be very substantial. So the PME drive, frankly speaking, is a commercial vehicle story now.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to improve EV infrastructure,
Infrastructure,
for public transport.
And plus the focus will be on charging infrastructure, which is very important because they're focusing a lot of budgets on charging infrastructure.
All right, Arunji, thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us today and taking us through the month of January 2026. We will bring you another episode of this monthly trend next month. If you want to know something, if you want us to focus something specifically, or if you want a little bit more insight, let us know in the comment section and we will try to cover all of that. I'll see you next month. Bye bye.